Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really thrilled to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We've got a really interesting one today.
We definitely do. Today, we are venturing right into that intriguing, sometimes murky intersection of human anatomy and alternative healing.
Right, it's a fascinating space.
It really is. We are basically going on a hunt for a hidden culprit behind chronic muscular pain. And we're looking at this through the lens of a very specific set of source materials.
Yeah, our primary source today is this really detailed video presentation by Osman.
And we should probably give you some context on his background before we jump in.
For sure. So Osman describes himself as a master-level energy healer. He actually states he has telepathic capabilities, and he specializes in critical care recovery as well as terminal illnesses.
Wow. Okay. That's a pretty diverse background.
It is, yeah. He's also an advanced yoga and meditation teacher. And, for anyone curious to explore his background or his specific services further, you can find all of that on his website.
Right, which is yogawellness786.com, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so before we go a single step further, we absolutely need to relay a very crucial disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Osman is incredibly upfront about this in his own presentation, and we must echo it perfectly for you. His therapies are entirely all-natural based, and they're absolutely not a replacement for traditional medical treatment.
Right, that's key. If you have a medical condition, you must consult with a qualified, licensed medical professional in your area.
Exactly. Osman states very clearly that he is not a medical doctor. He is sharing his own anecdotal experiences and, his observations.
So our mission today isn't to validate or debunk him.
No, not at all. We are just genuinely exploring his fascinating perspective on how the human body holds on to pain. We're just looking at the mechanics of what he believes is happening right under the skin.
Right. And to understand how his energy healing supposedly cures chronic pain, we kind of have to start with the biological system he is specifically targeting.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well, we aren't talking about muscles or bones right out of the gate, which you might expect. We are actually looking at the lymphatic system.
The lymphatic system. It's one of those things we all vaguely remember from high school biology, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it usually takes a backseat to, the circulatory system or the nervous system.
It really does. But it's so important.
It is. I actually want you to imagine for a second that you are looking at the air filter in your house.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The one you're supposed to change every few months?
Yeah.
But if you're anything like me, you completely forget about it until the furnace starts making a weird noise.
Guilty as charged.
Right. And when you finally pull it out, it is just caked. It's solid gray, it's rigid, and completely blocked with all the dust and debris it sacrificed itself to catch.
Yeah, it's gross.
It is. The filter caught the bad stuff, but the blockage is now causing a massive system-wide failure in your house. We understand that concept mechanically when it comes to our homes, right?
Yeah.
Well, Osman is applying that exact same mechanical logic to our physical bodies.
He really is. He points out that the lymphatic system is this highly visible physical network inside of you. I mean, if you were to look under the skin, you would see these vessels looking like a vast web.
Like running parallel to your veins and arteries.
Exactly. But instead of pumping red blood, this network manages interstitial fluid. And it carries your white blood cells, specifically those specialized cells like macrophages.
Oh, right, the ones that eat the bad stuff.
Yep. It is essentially the physical highway for your body's defense system. And the architecture of that highway is not just a series of smooth, open tubes.
No.
No, the entire network is punctuated by nodes placed strategically throughout your body.
Okay, I like to think of these lymphatic nodes as like security checkpoints placed at various intersections of this biological highway.
That's a great way to look at it.
Like, let's say you walk into a crowded room and you inhale a cold virus, or you wander into an area where bacteria are rampant. Those invaders get into your system.
Unfortunately, yes.
But before they can just multiply and completely take over your body, they hit these biological water filters. The white blood cells trap the infection right there at the node.
Right. It essentially quarantines the virus to stop it from proliferating.
Exactly.
What's fascinating here is the physical consequence of that defense mechanism. Because, that microscopic battle isn't silent, and it certainly isn't painless.
No, you definitely feel it.
You do. When a node traps an infection, like when those macrophages are aggressively engulfing and destroying the invaders at that specific checkpoint, the node itself physically changes.
It galls up, right?
Yeah, it fills with lymphatic fluid, immune cells, and basically the waste products of the destroyed pathogens. Osman points out you have almost certainly felt this.
Oh, for sure. If you are coming down with a severe cold, you might feel the glands in your neck becoming noticeably swollen.
Or around your thyroid area, yeah.
No.
They are inflamed and they become very painful to the touch.
You swallow, and it hurts. You press gently on the side of your neck, and there is a distinct, tender lump.
Yep, we've all been there.
And logically, that makes sense. I mean, it is an active biological war zone in your neck. The swelling is the tangible evidence that the filter is working.
Exactly. But here is the bridge we have to cross today.
Okay, let's cross it.
A swollen gland hurting during an active cold is standard physiology. But how does a temporary security checkpoint responding to a passing virus translate into chronic, long-term muscular pain?
Right. That is the major leap Osman is making.
It is a massive leap, but his logic is structurally focused on a condition known as lymph stasis.
Lymph stasis.
According to Osman, the core issue is that sometimes, after an injury or a severe cold or an illness, the active battle ends.
But the battlefield doesn't get cleared.
Bingo. The infection is neutralized, but the node remains completely engorged. The filter basically stays clogged with dead cells, fibrin, and cellular debris.
So it just gets stuck.
Yeah, the node fails to drain properly back into the lymphatic vessels, so instead of fading away after a few days, this deep, unresolved blockage exhibits as major muscular pain.
Like where specifically?
Most commonly, he sees this manifesting as severe localized agony in the back or the neck.
Wow, and the timeline he attaches to this is staggering.
It really is.
We aren't talking about a stiff neck that bothers you for a week after a bad flu. Osman emphasizes that once these lymphatic nodes are severely inflamed and blocked in this specific way, once that debris hardens into a dense fibrotic knot, the pain will not just go away on its own.
No, he says it can linger for 10, 20, 30 years, or even for the rest of a person's life.
Decades of chronic pain, and all tracing back to a clogged biological filter that just never got emptied.
Imagine the psychological toll of that reality, though. You are living with debilitating back pain for 20 years, assuming you have a bad disc or a torn muscle or irreversible skeletal degeneration.
Right, you'd think your spine was falling apart.
Exactly. So you undergo endless rounds of physical therapy, treating the muscle. You try resting the bone. But if Osman's premise holds, you are treating the wrong system entirely.
You are trying to fix the plumbing by rewiring the electricity.
That's a perfect analogy. The pain absolutely feels muscular to the patient, but the origin is purely lymphatic.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to admit, my skeptical alarm bells are ringing pretty loud here.
I don't blame you.
If we are talking about an infection, or even the lingering biological debris of an infection trapped in a node, why is this a multi-decade mystery?
What do you mean?
Well, if I have a bacterial infection, I go to the doctor, they give me a standard course of antibiotics, and it clears up.
Sure.
So if this node is just a localized pocket of inflammation, why wouldn't a doctor just prescribe a heavy antibiotic to flush the system and clear the blockage right up?
It's a fair question, and Osman directly addresses this common assumption.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. He explains that while you might consume antibiotics hoping to target the issue, he has not found them to be effective for clearing these specific hardened lymphatic blockages once they really set in.
Really? Why not?
If we look at the broader picture of pharmacology, it actually aligns with biological logic. Antibiotics are designed to seek and destroy active, living bacterial infections.
Okay, they disrupt the cellular division of the bacteria.
Exactly. But if the active infection was defeated 20 years ago, what remains isn't a living threat.
Ah, I see.
It is essentially a hardened physical traffic jam of dead macrophages, scar tissue, and trapped solidified fluid. An antibiotic has nothing left to kill.
Wow. You can't kill a traffic jam.
No, you have to physically clear the road.
You can't kill a traffic jam.
Yeah.
That perfectly illustrates the frustration so many people must feel.
It really does.
I mean, they take the pills, the blood tests show no active infection whatsoever, but the agonizing pain is still sitting there in their shoulder.
And they are inevitably told it is just general muscle pain or an age-related ache they just have to live with.
Which leads us to the conventional medical solutions that are offered when antibiotics naturally fail. If a standard infection protocol doesn't work for these stuck nodes, what does conventional medicine actually offer?
Well, Osman points out that there actually is a conventional pharmaceutical combination that works to clear these specific blockages.
There is.
Yeah, it is a very specific combination of prescription muscle relaxants paired with heavy analgesics or painkillers like Voltaren.
Okay.
Osman freely admits that when these two types of drugs work together in the system, they actually do tend to dilate the tissues enough to drain out the blocked lymphatic vessels. The patient will finally start feeling that long-awaited relief.
Wait, hold on. If Osman admits that a standard muscle relaxant physically opens the node and drains it, I am completely lost as to why people are suffering for 30 years.
It's complicated.
Why wouldn't a doctor just prescribe a short course of Voltaren, let the patient's system clear the jam, and be done with it?
Because the collateral damage is immense. Osman issues a very strong warning about this specific pharmaceutical approach.
I'll let you respond, word.
These heavy systemic muscle relaxants are incredibly difficult to obtain without a strict prescription, and doctors are highly reluctant to readily prescribe them for generalized pain.
Why is that?
The reason is the side effects. Specifically, Osman notes that these systemic muscle relaxants can severely and negatively impact the functioning of your heart muscle.
Oh, wow. Which is terrifying when you think about the anatomy for a second.
It really is.
The heart is, at its core, an intricate, continuously operating muscle. So if you're swallowing a pill, a systemic medication designed to heavily relax the muscular tension in your back or your neck just to create enough slack to drain a lymph node, that medication doesn't just stay in your neck.
No, it enters your bloodstream and washes over your entire body.
Including your heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are risking the electrical rhythm and the vital pumping function of your most important organ just to unclog a tiny filter in your shoulder.
That is wild.
The risk-to-reward ratio is incredibly dangerous. It is a highly localized problem being treated with a massive systemic solution.
Right, which makes sense why doctors wouldn't just hand it out.
This is exactly why the medical community heavily gatekeeps those specific drug combinations. You might successfully force the lymphatic drainage to open, but you risk inducing a cardiac event or severe hypotension in the process.
So it leaves the patient trapped in an awful dilemma.
A terrible one. Live with decades of debilitating muscular pain, or risk their fundamental heart health for a brief window of relief.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Osman is presenting a third option.
Yes.
He argues there is a much safer, highly targeted way to clear these fibrotic blockages without risking the heart, without popping heavy pharmaceuticals, and without invasive surgery.
He calls it energy massage.
Right. And we need to be incredibly specific about what this actually looks like and what it feels like, because the term massage carries a lot of preconceived notions that are completely misleading here.
Oh, absolutely. When most of us hear the word massage, we immediately picture a luxury spa setting or a sports clinic.
Right. Some Enya playing in the background.
Yeah, exactly. We think of a practitioner using deep tissue techniques, using heavy physical pressure to knead the muscles, physically hitting or manipulating the broad muscle groups to forcefully work out the tension.
But that's not what he's doing.
Not at all. Osman makes a point to strongly contrast his method against that entire paradigm. He isn't kneading the muscles at all. In fact, he completely ignores the broad muscle tissue.
Because the muscle isn't even the actual problem.
Exactly.
It is just the innocent bystander screaming in pain because of the blocked node embedded next to it. Osman's technique is entirely focused on the microscopic lymphatic nodes themselves.
It is highly localized and completely non-invasive.
There are no drugs, there is no cutting. It relies entirely on touch and the transmission of what he refers to as subtle life force energy, or healing energy.
The physical sensation he describes from the practitioner's side provides a lot of insight. He isn't just vaguely waving his hands in the air over the body,
Right, it's very hands-on.
He is physically locating these specific inflamed nodes. He says he can actually feel a distinct hardness under the skin.
Like a knot.
Yeah, he can feel a physical localized lump where the node has become completely engorged, fibrotic, and blocked. He places his hand directly on these painfully specific spots.
But he doesn't press hard.
No, rather than trying to physically crush the lump with brute force, which would just damage the surrounding tissue, he gently touches the area while transmitting his energy through those centers.
This is where we really have to look at the how behind the what. He says that as he passes this subtle energy through the hardened lump, he could literally feel the hardness disappearing under his fingers.
It just melts away.
The lump dissolves. The inflammation vanishes. Now, calling it magical doesn't help us understand the mechanics.
No, it doesn't.
If we try to ground this in a theoretical mechanism, we could look at it through the lens of acoustic resonance.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Think about a trained singer hitting the exact right vocal pitch that matches the natural frequency of a crystal glass. The sound waves alone vibrate the structure until it shatters without anyone having to smash it with a hammer.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. Rather than physical force, it is an energetic frequency match.
Right.
In clinical physical therapy, we already see a parallel with therapeutic ultrasound, where high-frequency sound waves are directed into the body to stimulate localized blood flow and break down dense scar tissue on a cellular level.
That's a really good point.
So Osman's perspective suggests that by transmitting a specific, focused life force energy, he is providing a subtle vibrational frequency that matches the density of the fibrotic blockage.
So this targeted energy essentially vibrates the dense cellular debris.
Yes, stimulating localized fascial release and allowing the trapped, solidified lymphatic fluid to finally mobilize and drain naturally.
And the relief for the patient is reportedly immediate.
Oh.
Osman shares several incredible success stories to back up this specific methodology.
He does, and they're pretty amazing.
He talks about people who have been suffering with this unresolved pain for over 30 years. 30 years of heavily restricted movement, daily agony, unable to get rid of it through any conventional physical therapy or safe medication.
And he claims to have cured that exact decades-long pain in a single focused session.
A single session, yeah.
Just by targeting the lymphatic system rather than the muscular system and using the right energetic frequency instead of brute physical force.
He provides a highly visceral example of a patient dealing with severe chronic arm pain.
Yeah, this individual had reached a point where they couldn't even fully extend their arm. The range of motion was completely locked up by the surrounding pain and inflammation.
Imagine how severely that limits your daily life.
Oh, it would be awful.
Yeah.
You can't reach a high shelf, you can't participate in sports, you struggle to even sleep comfortably because the joint is functionally frozen.
And what happened?
Osman details that after just one session of locating the specific blocked lymphatic nodes causing the restriction and releasing them with this targeted energy, the entire problem was solved.
It's just like that.
The patient could move their arm perfectly well, full range of motion was completely restored, the biological roadblock was dissolved, and the highway opened right back up.
You know, perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence he offers for his absolute belief in this system is that he utilizes it constantly on himself.
He really does. He is essentially his own primary care provider for chronic pain management.
He notes that whenever he feels a new pain starting to form, or senses a freshly inflamed node in his own body after an illness, he doesn't wait for it to calcify into a 30-year fibrotic blockage.
No, he jumps right on it.
He immediately passes that focused energy into himself. He targets his own lymphatic system and relieves the blockage before it has a chance to set in and harden.
And because of this constant maintenance, he claims he doesn't have any lingering spots of pain anywhere in his body.
Must be nice.
Right. It is the ultimate form of preventive maintenance on the body's security checkpoints. He checks for these inflamed, hardened nodes on anyone who comes to him complaining of joint or muscle pain, especially if it is a chronic long-term issue that hasn't responded to other treatments.
So to him, invariably, a blocked node is one of the major contributing factors.
Yes. He readily acknowledges it is not the only way healing happens, or the only cause of pain, but he views it as a fundamentally vital and largely ignored piece of the chronic pain puzzle.
It forces a total paradigm shift in how we view the signals our bodies send us. I mean, we are so deeply trained to isolate our pain. My shoulder hurts, therefore my shoulder muscle is damaged.
Yeah, it's so ingrained in us.
Osman's perspective demands that we view the human body as a deeply interconnected, reactive ecosystem.
It's wild to think about. The immune cells fighting a mild throat infection in your 20s can leave biological debris that fundamentally alters your posture and causes severe pain back in your 50s.
It highlights how a failure in one system, like the lymphatic drainage, can completely mimic a failure in a totally different system, like the muscular structure.
We are constantly looking at the symptoms rather than tracing the lines back to the source of the blockage.
So what does this all mean? If we zoom out and look at the entire picture Osman has painted for us today, we are being challenged to view chronic, stubborn, decades-long muscular pain through an entirely new lens.
A totally different perspective.
We are asked to consider that the agony might not be muscle damage at all. It might be unresolved, hardened blockages in our body's lymphatic filters.
Blockages that conventional medicine might only be able to forcefully clear with systemic pharmaceuticals that carry severe, dangerous risks to our heart rhythm.
Exactly. And in stark contrast to that heavy medical artillery, Osman presents the subtle, non-invasive application of targeted life force energy, an approach designed to theoretically match the frequency of the blockage, melting away the physical hardness and restoring the body's natural flow without collateral damage.
This raises an important question, and it's one that really lingers long after you hear Osman's perspective.
What's that?
If the application of subtle, focused energy can theoretically vibrate and dissolve a hardened physical blockage of biological debris in our body's defense filters, well, I mean, what other subtle environmental or emotional signals is our immune system absorbing and hardening against every single day that we are completely ignoring?
Wow.
If a specific frequency of energy can cure the blockage, is it possible that unseen, chronic energetic stressors are what triggered the node to lock up and build the blockage in the first place?
That is a profound thought to leave off on. Are we hardening ourselves against our daily environment without even realizing the physical toll it is taking on our internal filters?
It's something to think about.
We want to sincerely thank you for joining us on today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We hope this exploration into the mechanics of the lymphatic system, chronic pain, and energy healing gave you something completely new to chew on.
Definitely keep asking questions and keep looking past the obvious symptoms.
And remember to check your internal filters. We will see you next time.